And now we move to the main event of the evening in a battle in the UFC's featherweight division. A phenomenal main event. No chance that this couldn't be the main event. In the featherweight division between the number 2 ranked former featherweight champion, the man who beats everybody in the division, unless your name is Alexander the Great Volkanovski, and the number 2 ranked Max Blessed Holloway, coming into the fight with a record of 23 victories and 7 defeats, but out of those 7 defeats, 3 of them come to one man in the featherweight champion in Alexander Volkanovski. And then he's going up against the number 3 ranked? Number 4 ranked Arnold Almighty Allen, who comes in with a record of 19 victories with only 1 lone defeat. Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. I did a YouTube video on this months ago hyping up the fight. It's a great fight, a great matchup, and I think my overall pick and breakdown of the fight is a little different now than it was back then, because I don't think I gave a prediction in the video, but I might have. But going off this fight, man, I mean, we'll look at the statistics real quick. 23-7 for Holloway, 19-1 for Arnold Allen. 5'11 for Holloway, 5'8 for Arnold Allen, so 3-inch height advantage for the former champion in Holloway. 69-inch reach for Holloway to a 70-inch reach for Allen. So even though he's at a 3-inch height disadvantage, he's going to be at a 3-inch height advantage in the side of Holloway. He's going to be at a 1-inch reach disadvantage on the side of Allen. So Allen is going to be shorter but longer in terms of using their reach. But I think the man who uses his reach better is on the side of the former champion in Holloway. Leg reach, 42-inch leg reach for Holloway, 39-inch leg reach for Arnold Allen. So it's going to be a 3-inch leg reach advantage aside from a 1-inch reach disadvantage on the side of Holloway. Win percentages, I don't really think we need to get into for this fight. Significant strikes, 7.24 landed per minute on the side of Max Holloway. Insane volume, insane activity. 3.4 significant strikes landed per minute for Arnold Allen. So he's doubling him up in terms of significant strikes landed per minute. Significant strike percentages, not only is he doubling him up, but he's also more accurate, with a 47% significant strike accuracy rate on the side of Holloway to a 42% significant strike accuracy rate on the side of the almighty one in Arnold Allen. Strikes absorbed per minute, Holloway takes more damage, 4.89 to 2.25 on the side of Arnold Allen. So he's doubling up, basically tripling up the amount of strikes landed per minute on the side of Holloway, but he's also doubling up Arnold Allen in the amount of strikes he takes per minute, 4.89 to 2.25. So Arnold Allen is better defensively, and you can see that in the defense stat, 59% defense rate for Max Holloway to a 67% striking defense or defensive overall rate for Arnold Allen. When it comes to the grappling, 1.35 takedowns per 15-minute fight on the side of Allen, 0.29 on the side of Holloway. Holloway can use his wrestling as good counters to forward pressure and striking, but for the most part, he just uses his wrestling defensively to stay on the feet. But he's never had the greatest, I was going to say never had the greatest takedown defense, but he does. He's just been taken down more in recent fights by the likes of Alexander the Great Volkanovski. 0.29 takedowns per 15-minute fight, 1.35 for Allen. 53% takedown accuracy on the side of Holloway to a 50% takedown accuracy for Arnold Allen, but Allen also goes more heavily in the wrestling department. But I expect this fight to play out on the feet. Takedown defense rate, 84% takedown defense for Holloway to 76% takedown accuracy rate, or takedown defense rate. I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast here. For Allen. So 76% takedown defense on the side of Arnold Allen to 84% takedown defense on the side of Max Blessed Holloway. 0.33 submission average for Holloway to 0.37 for Arnold Allen. That doesn't really mean too much. But look, when we break down this fight, Max Holloway at this point in his career, a lot of people believe that this is going to be the passing of the torch for Max Holloway, that this is going to be the young up-and-comer who finally cracks the chin of Max Holloway, puts him out, beats him, and then Holloway goes away, maybe goes up to 55, takes a break, whatever. Listen, a lot of people thought that Yair Rodriguez was going to be the guy to beat Max Holloway. I believe I might have picked Yair Rodriguez, but I'm not 100% sure. And the fight was close and competitive, but Holloway took over in the championship rounds, used his wrestling more than we ever saw before, offensive wrestling when it was more defensive earlier in his career, and he seemed to evolve. But he goes in and fights Alexander Volkanovski in the third fight and gets absolutely dominated. Holloway was too quick. Volkanovski was too quick. He was too good on the counter. He was piecing up Max Holloway. The striking defense was non-existent for the majority of the fight. And it looked a lot different than the second fight between the two, which took place at UFC 251 on Fight Island. So I think that Max Holloway is becoming more hittable recently in his UFC career, especially lately. He's become more hittable. He has some issues with speed, but at the same time, I think he's the more technical striker. I think he has more volume to offer on the feet than Arnold Allen. Much more 5-round experience, much more championship experience. And I just think he's the overall cleaner fighter. And I think the clean technique of Holloway is going to play a big difference or play a big factor in this fight against the up-and-comer in Allen. Now, Arnold Allen has some very good things that he does as well. He's very good at getting the outside foot against the orthodox fighter. Loves getting that right outside foot, the lead outside foot. Very good left cross into the left high kick like he caught Sadiq Yusuff with. Very good ability to get off on an angle to land that straight left down the middle. He also has big power. Arnold Allen doesn't look like a guy who has a ton of power in his fights, but if he starts letting those hands go, man, he'll put everything he has into his punches and he'll rock you and hurt you. Now, he knocked out Dan Hooker and Hooker's dropped down to 45, and that was the biggest win of his career. And I believe it is the biggest win of his career for Arnold Allen, is that knockout victory over Dan Hooker. But you're looking at a Dan Hooker who hadn't been down to the 45 weight class since like 2017, 2018, and who was heavily depleted going into that fight. You have to take the weight cut into consideration in that fight. Yes, Arnold Allen looked great. Tagged him with a straight left, tagged him with a right hook, tagged him with a left high kick, a straight left down the middle. I mean, he was piecing him up, knees and elbows in the clinch, and got the TKO victory. Huge win. Not taking away anything from Arnold Allen in that fight. But at the same time, it was a much depleted version of Dan Hooker, a man kind of like, the story we talked about, Cody Garbrandt at 125. It's the same story with Dan Hooker at 45. It's the same story with Dillashaw trying to drop down to 25. And the story goes on and on and on. Very few fighters who are at the top level of their weight class that drop down in terms of hoping to revitalize their career after going on a skid. It usually doesn't work out for them, and that was the story for Dan Hooker. So it was a much depleted version of Dan Hooker, but Arnold Allen still rocked him. He still hurt him. The speed, the power in his punches, the straight left, the right hook, the overhand left, the uppercuts, the left head kick off the cross was unbelievable. He's got big power, does Arnold Allen. The fight against Sadiq Yusuff, it was back and forth, but Arnold Allen had the bigger moments. The left cross into the left high kick, which rocked Sadiq, and then dropping him with a straight left hand in the first round. Off that angle, he was able to control the wrist, get on an angle against the orthodox fighter in Sadiq, and bang that straight left hand down the middle. Arnold Allen is very technical. He's very crisp. He has very sneaky ability to land the shots at openings that the opponents don't see coming. And Max Holloway's been in there with the best of the best. He's been in there with the best of the best. I mean, Yair Rodriguez, Dustin Poirier, Alexander Volkanovski 3 times, Conor McGregor, Kelvin Kattar put on a masterclass against Kelvin Kattar. The best we've ever seen Max Holloway look was in that fight against Kelvin Kattar, a boxing clinic. Constant combinations, 1-2s, body shots, straights to the body, jab, left hook, right hand, jab, right cross, left hook, jab, right cross, left hook, right cross to the body, right cross to the body, left hook, 1-1-2, 2-3. I mean, he was mixing up his boxing. He was seeing punches coming, slipping, rolling, slip, pull, roll underneath. His defensive head movement was unbelievable. But in his recent fights against Yair Rodriguez, in his recent fights against Alexander Volkanovski, the guy's become much more hittable. He's been hittable with some big shots. He takes big shots. His chin can always take them. But in that last fight against against Alexander Volkanovski, man, he got pieced up. I can't believe he survived, but he did. But he got dominated. Volk was too fast for him. He had a big speed advantage. He was dominating him. He was landing big punches, piecing him up, bloodying him up, cutting him up. And it just looked like Holloway was lost in there. And is that a factor of the damage catching up to Holloway? Taking too many punches, catching up to Holloway? The older age of Holloway at this point? I mean, the guy's not old. He's what, 30, 31? Going up against a younger fighter in Arnold Allen, sure, but we've never seen Arnold Allen go 5 rounds before, and we've seen him slow down in the 3rd round of fights because he's so explosive. He's so big on the power. If Arnold Allen hurts you, I mean, it's not going to be clean technical shots that he tries to take you out with. Big right hooks, big left hooks, big uppercuts, big overhands, big knees, big head kicks. The guy's going to be throwing bombs at Max Holloway if he hurts him. But he is technical with his footwork. He's technical with his movement, always looking to get the outside foot against the opponent. Left kick to the body, check right hook. Beautiful check right hook from southpaw. Straight left hand down the middle. The only thing that I think will catch Holloway in the early rounds, that check right hook to the straight left hand, man. The straight left hand of Arnold Allen, even though he beat Kelvin Kattar by a technicality due to the knee injury, he was catching Kelvin Kattar later on in that first round with the straight left down the middle. And there's no windup. It's just from point A to point B, just bop, 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 right down the middle. And it was giving Kattar some issues. The speed of Arnold Allen is a big problem. But we've never seen him go into the championship rounds. And we have a guy in Max Holloway who's been accustomed to fighting in 5-round fights, fighting in championship fights. I mean, when was the last time we saw Max Holloway in a 3-round fight? It had to be back in, who was the last time, actually? We could check that. I don't even know. Let's see. What was the last time Max Holloway fought in a 3-round fight? Ricardo Lamas, I think? Yeah. June of 2016 was the last time that Max Holloway fought in a 3-round fight. The Pettis fight was a 5-rounder. Both Aldo fights were 5-rounders. Ortega 5-rounder. Dustin Poirier 5-rounder. Frankie Edgar 5-rounder. Volkanovski 5-rounder. Yair 5-rounder. Kelvin Kattar 5-rounder. This guy is accustomed to 5-round fights. We've never seen Arnold Allen in a 5-round fight. Now, does that mean that he doesn't have the cardio to go 5 rounds? That doesn't necessarily mean that. We just don't have the tape and the history and historical evidence to go off of the fact that he can go a hard 25 minutes. I do not think he can go a hard 25 minutes against a guy in Max Holloway. The volume of Holloway, the pressure, the clean boxing, the suffocation of Max Holloway in those championship rounds are going to take a toll on Arnold Allen. The early rounds, Arnold Allen can catch Max Holloway. I think he does have a chance of knocking out Holloway. He's got big power. The straight left doesn't have any windup. Holloway's become more hittable. I think there is a possibility that Arnold Allen catches Max Holloway with a big shot in the early rounds, hurts him, and finishes him. I think maybe he wins the first 2 rounds because he does hurt Holloway and has the bigger moments, and maybe he goes up on the scorecards. But in the late part of the 3rd round, the 4th round, and the 5th round, that's all the Blessed Express, baby. Max Holloway's volume, his forward pressure, the experience in the 5-round fights, it's just something I can't go against. But early on, Max Holloway has to be careful because Allen can crack. Allen is technical. He's very good at getting the outside foot, good lateral movement, no windup in the straight left hand, beautiful check right hook. He has the ability to hurt Max Holloway, and he's very technical in his own right. Don't think that I think that Arnold Allen doesn't have technical ability. He for 100% for sure does. And it's going to give Holloway a lot of trouble early in the fight. But in those championship rounds, in the second half of that 3rd round, that's where the Blessed Express is going to run down the tracks. And that's where it's going to run Arnold Allen over. And I think Max Holloway takes over big in the 4th and the 5th round with the volume, the boxing, the 1-2s, the 1-1-2s, the 1-3-2, the 3-2-3, the 1-3-2, 2 to the body, left hook, uppercuts, left hook to the body, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, left hook, uppercut, left hook to the body, right hook to the body, the knees, the spinning back kicks. He's going to take over on the 4th and the 5th round, and he's going to win those rounds big. I think it is possible he gets a late finish in the championship rounds, but I'm going to bank on this fight going to decision, and I'm going to bank with the former champion in Holloway to get the job done, handing Arnold Allen his 2nd professional MMA loss and his 2nd loss inside the UFC after being on this streak. You can't count that Kelvin Kattar fight as a number 1, a good fight to look at in terms of Arnold's ability to go 5 rounds, a good fight to look at in terms of Arnold's ability overall, or a good fight to look at in terms of how he does with the upper echelon of the division. You can't do that because Kelvin Kattar got hurt like 10 seconds into the 2nd round, and he got hurt because he threw a flying knee, landed wrong, and blew his ACL out in his other knee. You can't really take much from that fight. Yes, Allen landed some good shots. Probably won the 1st round. He had the bigger shots, hurt Kelvin at certain points, but at the same time, you can't really take much from that fight. We saw him get tired in the 3rd round against Sadiq, get more tired. We saw him kind of just pop-shotting Arnold Allen, and in the fight with Sadiq Youssef, it wasn't the big power shots that caught Arnold Allen. It was the straight punch, just the pop-pop, looking to land volume, just looking to touch him. And that's what Max Holloway is a master of. He's a master of volume. He's a master of touching up the opponent. Big, heavy combinations, multiple punch combinations, heavy boxing ability, great straight punches. The volume is going to drown Arnold Allen in the championship rounds. I don't think he gets a finish, but I could see a late 4th or 5th round TKO for Max Holloway just being too much for him. But at the same time, I'm going to go with a decision. I'm going to go with Max Blessed Holloway to defeat another up-and-coming contender in the featherweight division, via a 48-47 unanimous decision over Arnold Allen. So give me Max Blessed Holloway, the number 2 ranked featherweight in the division, to defeat the number 4 ranked streaking contender in Arnold Almighty Allen, handing him his second loss in professional MMA and his second loss inside the UFC via 48-47 unanimous decision. From a betting perspective, I don't like this fight anyway. I don't like over-unders. I don't like Allen as a dog. I don't like Max Holloway as a favorite because I think we have a lot of questions, not only in terms of how Allen's cardio will hold up in the championship rounds, how he'll do against the biggest test of his career, but also the durability questions and issues of Holloway, the fact he's become more hittable, the fact that Arnold Allen does have big power and can let his hands and feet go with power to potentially hurt Max at this point in his career. There's too many questions. I don't like the bet, but the pick is the former champion in Max Holloway to defeat Arnold Almighty Allen, or Almighty Arnold Allen, via 48-47 unanimous decision. All right, that's going to be it for my UFC Kansas City preview, predictions, and breakdown. You can get this podcast anywhere you get your audio podcasts. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, Stitcher, and many more. This podcast will be broken up into individual fight segments and uploaded to the YouTube channel, which is the same name as the podcast, at the Touch 'Em Up Podcast. You can leave a review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts or any other platforms that allow you to leave a review. I'm your host, Double M, and I'm out. Enjoy the fights this weekend.